And we're off. Welcome to the first Teacher Talk Wednesday. We wanted to go for Teacher Talk Tuesday on the hashtag, but it's already been used, so we don't want any copyright issues. And I would also at this point like to name drop Ben Forte and Dan Roberts, who've come up with Catch of the Day as a hangout. So I thought I'd steal the idea and we would go for a weekly vlog on everything teaching and learning, an informal chat. I'm Gary King, welcome. This is my colleague Phil Ruse.
I'm currently NQT ITT coordinator here at Tavistock College, as well as a geography and business teacher.
So I thought it'd be great to get things going with today, looking at ITT NQT sort of provision linked to CPD, and really I wanted to hone in on the Ofsted, I know it's everyone's favourite word, updated guidance as of, I think it's this week or last week, and in particular, this sort of, you know, this one. I don't know if you can read that, but I'll go through it. While inspectors will consider how written and oral feedback are used to promote learning, Ofsted does not expect to see any written record of oral feedback provided to pupils by teachers. Thank goodness for that, because I think, Phil, this has been something that's, well, I've seen students trying to write down the transcript and then the teacher signing it off, wasting time. I've seen verbal or oral feedback given stamps, but what does it actually, you know? So I'm sure your trainees, you know, how do you deal with that with the trainees and the NQTs?
Absolutely. I mean, not a moment too soon, I would say. I mean, our trainees come from inevitably a background of a real evidence culture, with their course building up that evidence against the standards. But I've always felt, is there, you know, anything more pointless than having to evidence verbal feedback? The whole point of verbal feedback is to make that instant impression, to be moving students along, to have that, you know, actually triggering that magic happening in the classroom. And yet, time and time again, our trainees, even our NQTs, still feel they have to, how can I show that? Where's my stamp? Where's my sticker saying that? How will someone know in an observation? And completely detrimental to what feedback should actually be about.
Yeah, I think this is a welcome change. Even myself, in the last couple of years, leading teaching and learning, I wrote a blog on marking, and it's the same thing. It's people who are going down the overkill route and working and flogging themselves really to give developmental feedback when it wasn't potentially necessary. And obviously we've moved to a culture now where we mark if it's going to make a significant difference to students' progress. But I'm just wondering it'd be interesting to see what students think of the verbal feedback. Maybe we should ask some, come back next week and maybe ask some students to partake in this, because I know that verbal feedback, especially as a technology teacher, is invaluable. And this is great. But how is this going to impact into planning lessons? Because again, we don't have to see lesson plans, and lessons are now ungraded. Well, in this school, we're moving to ungraded. We'll be vlogging about that soon. So how do you think this fits in with the ungraded sort of looking at measures of progress over time? Do you think this will have a positive or negative impact into that? What do you think?
I'd like to think it would be positive. I mean, key thing, we know, you know, assessing progress is key to moving forward, planning in the future. What I'd like to think is, because there's now less need to be capturing everything in written form, you know, less formulaic, if you like, but actually our trainees, our NQTs, all of us as staff will actually have more time actually for those meaningful conversations, and actually we will be better placed to actually know our learners' needs for that next lesson, for that lesson in 2 weeks' time. So I'm hoping it will be a real positive move.
Yeah, I think it will speed up progress most certainly over time. Whilst we're on, I thought you may want to share a couple of things that you're currently doing while you're coordinating sort of the ITT NQT, and of course not forgetting these sort of just out of the NQT phase, because I know that, you know, having been there myself, you go for your training, then you're straight in, you know, that first term, and then all of a sudden you're not an NQT anymore, and that support's gone, what's left? And I know here we've got a really good sort of blended sort of CPD for any member of staff to drop in on. So it's not that, thank you, you've done your NQT and now out you go. So I don't know, what sort of things have you been up to recently?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing I always felt when I started this role, we had some really good systems in place for helping with our NQTs and the mentoring side of things, the paperwork side of things, if you like. So what I've wanted to put my focus on was sort of changing the CPD program really, and also the approach to that, to mean that it's very much my role is, you know, I'm there as a facilitator, and actually our group is, we're there on a level footing. We have all manner of people. We've got NQTs that are nearly finished, and one guy that, you know, successfully completed last month. We've got NQTs just starting. We've got trainees on last placements, first placements,
Okay.
BEd, PGCE. So it's an incredibly dynamic group, and actually they, sometimes without realising it, they're learning from each other, and that's what I'm really enjoying seeing happen this year, because they've, you know, we've got a range of subjects, range of key stages that people are teaching, range of experiences, both in and out of teaching, and I think there's some really great conversations happening.
And I know you do a lot of like learning walks, and you do pupil pursuits, and I know we're looking at developing our NQT program to extend to our primary colleagues, because I do think there's a gap where a lot of we can learn so much from our primary colleagues, literacy, numeracy, some of those skills that they're developing in the students. I sometimes wonder whether students potentially regress in the first term in secondary sometimes because we dumb down what they're actually capable of. So I think linking to working with our primary colleagues through our innovation centre, which is coming up very soon. We'll be vlogging about that as well, and obviously our range of teach meets. But it'd be great for you to come back. And this is an informal sort of just a chance. I mean, I read blogs all the time and it's great, but sometimes I always find that the informal chats like these sort of hangouts may help elaborate on those issues. So thanks for tuning in. It was a short 9 minutes. We want to keep it short and sharp and to the point, and hopefully see you next week.